Chris Deasy, the presenter of Kent Film Club, joins me in the studio now. So Chris, can you tell us a little bit about the Academy Awards for viewers who may not know what they are?
Well, they've been running since the late 1920s, and it's always exciting because it's always around this time of year that we have a big celebration in America as to the different films that are up for the prestigious award. You've got the Best Picture of the Year, Best Director, Best Actor, Screenplay, all of those. Editing, costume design, production design, cinematography, animated film. And it gets everybody excited because, as we were just saying in the piece there, when films get awards of this stature, then it really does increase their commercial longevity. You know, people will buy those films. Titanic, or you think of films like Gone with the Wind in yesteryear. People are interested in them because they've done well at the Oscars, and they say, oh, I missed it when it came out, so therefore they want to re-see it. So what it does to a film, if it's up for an Academy Award, is totally boost the calibre of the film, but also the people who made it. And of course, then there may be higher budgets for them to go and make the next set of films. And, you know, it's like, you know, this person's been Oscar nominated. Of course, it's going to have a huge impact on their career going forward.
And you mentioned a couple of the categories there, but what's your favourite category to keep an eye on?
Oh, well, the acting categories are always good because they're often the way into a film that we say, you know, so-and-so starring in a film. And if you see somebody in a film that's maybe not in the sort of genre that we would normally associate them with, or somebody who's used to doing very commercial films, who's doing a very serious role that might actually be Oscar worthy, then, because you don't normally, I mean, in the Golden Globes, comedies are in their own right rewarded, but it's unusual for somebody who does a film like, you know, Bridesmaids. That maybe was an exception, but a film that does well in the comedy stakes and often will do well commercially doesn't normally lend itself to the Oscars. So it's always very interesting. So I'm a huge fan of directors like Clint Eastwood or Martin Scorsese. So when you see their names attached to projects, and if they get nominated, that's also hugely exciting.
And speaking of exciting, what film are you wanting to see win this year?
The front runner, or is it the front runner? Because Sinners might be, but One Battle After Another. Now, this is a film which is made by Paul Thomas Anderson, who's done some really edgy films before. I was talking about this a few weeks ago, things like Boogie Nights, and he did Magnolia. Often sprawling films. This one's no exception, but it sort of does in a way that last year's film, Anora, did. It sort of gets to that heart of, I suppose you could call it almost the very heart, the zeitgeist of what's going on. You have guerrillas in a sort of left wing, right wing. It's a politically very highly charged film, but it also tries to deconstruct all those different elements that make people think what's going on in society today. It's a very timely film, very clever, because it's a very entertaining film, but there's a clear ideological message behind that. And I have a feeling that that might do very well on Sunday, might even win Best Picture.
And I'm really curious, will we ever see Chris Deasy at the Oscars?
I do wonder whether this might be the closest I ever get to an Academy Award statuette. But do you know, I used to even say to my students once, you know, I mean, staying up to watch the Oscars was always something that I did. So I'd always be a bit bleary-eyed on that Monday morning because of the time difference. They normally start around 12 or 1 in the morning and go through till about 5 in the morning. So it's like the worst possible time in the UK to watch. But I used to stay up and get very excited, and I'd have my log and say who I thought would win and who actually won, and tick them all off. And you might hear the odd 2 in the morning scream from my house as I go, yes, that film that was, you know, everyone said was a complete write-off has taken home the statuette.
Well, we'll be keeping an eye on Sunday then, won't we, Chris? Well, thank you so much for joining me on the sofa today.